Welcome everybody to this evening's Style Esports stream production here. We got an exciting matchup between TGRefugees and Albemarle High School, second and third place respectively in the Void group. This is the semifinals. Both these teams fighting for that spot to make it into the finals. I am Baymax. I will be your play-by-play caster this evening, and I am joined alongside the cast by one of our newer casters. He's been with us a couple weeks now, a guy by the name of Merlin. You might have seen him around. How's it going, Merlin?
It's going great. I am super excited. We are actually casting one of the teams from my hometown of Charlottesville, Virginia, AHS, and I think that this should be an exciting game. I know that this is silver bronze. We should be action packed. I know this was previously drafted in pro draft, so we've seen some of the picks. And I think some of the picks are pretty strong. On the Albemarle side, we have the Mordekaiser, which is important for the AHS side. They often play through that top lane, get a lot of jungle attention, and try and kind of carry through that top lane. And that Zac in the jungle is also a favorite of that jungler's. Should be high impact. Once he gets a couple levels into his elastic slingshot and able to really gank. So I feel like the AHS draft had worked out so far pretty well at this point.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up going, because I, for one, I've definitely got my eyes glued on the top half of the map, and specifically that Volibear right up there for TGRefugees. Volibear has been bouncing around as far as his win rate goes. He's been all over the place since his rework, but right now he is widely viewed, at least in North America, as being a pretty contested top lane pick and not a terrible jungler as well. And again, it's new rework. People are still figuring out how this champion works. He seems strong. He seems like a lane bully. Mordekaiser not weak in his own right, but I think Volibear should win that top lane matchup. I want to see, will you take me? I want to see him prove that to me. I want to see him go to town on Sholin up here in the top lane. I want to see a Volibear pop off.
It could happen. We'll have to see how that plays out. I will say that Nocturne is really going to add some spice to the mix, providing incredible counter ganks. Level 6 really can get across the map. If he tracks that Zac or has a feel for where flashes are down, he can really make a lot happen. In the previous matchups, TGR won, and it was mostly through bot lane and mid lane. I will say that Ahri is dangerous. If she can land that charm onto the Veigar, he's very, very weak early. The cage is not really going to defend very well against an Ahri who's got incredible mobility. Particularly once she gets 6. And then on the bot side, we got the Kai'Sa Nautilus into the Jhin Yuumi. The Yuumi is a comfort pick for the support on AHS, but was the target of extreme nerfs. I haven't played with her yet, but I'm going to be watching that mana bar. The nerfs are kind of targeting her ability to spam slows in the lane. And again, if Nautilus and Kai'Sa can get on the Jhin, it's going to be difficult to come back from. So I think we're looking at mid-bot priority for TGR.
Well, yeah, and honestly, just taking a step back and looking at the team comp as a whole, look at what TGRefugees have drafted here, right? Volibear, Nocturne, Ahri, Kai'Sa, Nautilus. Dive across the board. TGRefugees are going in. And you were a little bit critical of the Veigar pick. You're right. I think that Fluffy Fox, honestly, you're me. I'm 100% taking Cleanse in this matchup because Ahri, that is a scary 1v1. You don't want to be in that 1v1 by yourself without some sort of a safety tool like a barrier or maybe an exhaust. So look forward to that potentially coming through from Fluffy Fox here. But other than that, I actually love the cage as a disengage tool for all the engage coming out from TGRefugees, right? Veigar is so good at controlling space, controlling areas of the map, and saying, hey, you can't walk here, or if you are trying to walk here, you are going to get stunned and you're going to get blown up. And TGRefugees, they're relatively short range. They're all just moving forward. They're trying to engage. Cage is a nice tool, a really strong tool to disengage from that, to force a stop to what TGRefugees are to force a stop to what TGRefugees are trying to do. And I do like the pick for that reason. I kind of like Yuumi for a similar reason, although we were talking about this a little bit before we actually went live, Merlin. Yuumi nerfs, they probably going to hit pretty hard.
I do think so. Those the mana nerfs, she's just not going to be able to spam in that bot lane. I totally agree about Veigar mid-game, late game. I'm just concerned that the Ahri lane is going to be difficult. Veigar is a stacking champ. He does not come online early. I play him a lot myself as a mid main, and you almost only have one ability. Your Q you can throw out, but it's really hard to hit your W. And the cage has a long cooldown and is kind of a regular stun without help. So I just really think that Vigar is going to have to be cautious, and he's really going to have to stay in the minions, be prepared for Ari Charm. Ari often takes Ignite, whereas Vigar often takes TP, so he's got to make sure, the worst case scenario is if he gets killed twice while TP's on cooldown. That could kind of set him back permanently. But if he makes it out of laning phase in good shape, leveled adequately, gets that GLP, I think he can definitely help kind of peel off the back line for the Jhin while Mordekaiser and Zach kind of beat on whoever's in front of them.
You mentioned the Jhin. I want to talk about Halassa on this Jhin just a little bit briefly here. I actually don't like the Jhin pick very much. Think about it right now. Jhin not that strong in the meta, and with all the dive coming out of TGRefugees, it was a last pick Jhin, by the way. Ezreal was open. Ezreal Yuumi, such a strong combination. Not only is it a strong combination in lane, but also very, very safe, very hard to dive onto. Jhin, a lot easier to kill. Less mobility, less survivability, less usage out of Iceborne Gauntlet or other safety tools. We'll have to see what happens. We are going to go to a short break as we transition into this spectator delay. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Welcome back onto Summoner's Rift, everybody, for the exciting semifinals matchup in the Void group between TGRefugees and Albemarle High School. I am Baymax, joined by Merlin. We are getting right into this game, number one, and it should be a fantastic game.
Absolutely. I kind of wish that TGR had gone for something. That level 1 knot hook is one of the best invade tools you can get. Instead, there's kind of a rough 5-point stance by AHS. And it looks like we're not going to see any action. It does look like TGR got the deep ward, so they are going to know what side of the map Zach is starting at, because they should be able to see him on Raptors. But otherwise, a fairly passive start.
Little bit of a passive start. Like you said, depth charge, maybe the tool that you would expect to see a little bit of spice around, but other than that, not too much crazy stuff going on. Certainly, a Vigar and an Ari not necessarily looking to duke it out early on. We'll see what ends up happening, but for now, a little bit slower of a start. I want to ask you what you think about this bot lane, because we talked about it a little bit between the game. I am not a fan of the Jhin pick, but you mentioned that Halassa is a Jhin 1 trick, or at least a Jhin main. Very good in the champion. Yeah.
68% win rate on that champion rank this season, so obviously going to be super comfortable on it. I do think it's a bit of an awkward pick in this particular game, just because of the dive nature of TGR. I will say that Zach started topside, so he and Nocturne are not going to be on the same side of the map, which I think that's fine. It looks like Zach is going to be working towards bot side ganks, which I think is fine. But HS did not take the advantage and push the lane. They had the opportunity to get to lane first and kind of get a minion advantage and push the wave. And that's such a critical advantage in bot lane. I kind of wish they had taken advantage of the fact that they didn't have to leash.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the draft a little more as well. Jhin, like you said, Halassa likes to play it, but think of what else was open, right? Ezreal Yuumi was available. Xayah was open. And this was a Jhin last pick into such heavy dive. So I'm definitely looking to see if Halassa can get something done on this pick, because if he can't, I am going to be very critical of it. I'm a little skeptical of the Yuumi as well. We talked about the Yuumi nerfs coming through. I think Yuumi is still fairly strong, but definitely a little bit harder to play after some very significant mana nerfs came through for her heal. For those who don't know, basically every time you use Yuumi's heal, it's going to cost you about 20% of your max mana, even as far as like 25%. 15% max mana plus about 65 mana on top of that. So ridiculously high mana cost ability on top lane. Pretty intense trade between Sholeni and Will You. This might end up going into the death realm for somebody, but not quite. Both top laners just going to sort of back out of that one with Conquerors fully stacked.
Yeah, it was an interesting trade. I almost feel like the Q would have been back up for Mordekaiser in just a second, and he could have gone in for one more. As it was, maybe slightly more favorable for Will UI with TGR, as he maybe had one extra 100 HP after the trade. In terms of sustain, they've both got Doran's shield, so that's going to be equal. Looks like both junglers are kind of finishing up full clears. Zach is on his 6th camp, but I guess Nocturne is only on... Nocturne has picked up Scuttle and is on his 6th camp, if you count the Scuttle.
I want to point out mid lane quick. Fluffy Fox, I said I was hoping to see a cleanse or maybe a barrier or something of a safety tool for him in that mid lane. Does not have it. Teleport on him. So he's playing a little bit fast and loose on this pick. Going to be a lot more in danger, a lot less likely to be able to look for roams to help out Mr. Person Man in the jungle or really move out of mid lane at all by himself. I think that is a little bit of a misplay, and we'll see if he ends up getting punished for it. But again, Cleanse, such a nice tool to have versus an Ahri when she's always threatening that charm. Because when you cleanse that charm, it basically nullifies all of her all-in potential. And if she charmed you, there's a pretty good chance she used Spirit Fire as well, or Spirit Rush, and is in that cage with you, trying to one-shot you, and oop, there goes all her damage, right? So I do like the cleanse a lot, but Fluffy Fox opting for a teleport instead, I think means that mid lane pressure going to be going over to TGRefugees for most of laning phase.
Absolutely. And they already actually made advantage of it. So I talked about how AHS didn't push the wave level 1. By the time level 3 rolled around, they were getting pushed into turret, and it actually allowed Ahri and the TGR bot lane to collapse on the Scuttle Crab. So the AHS jungler, Zach, actually got double scuttled, which is going to put him behind, and it looks like they're using the tempo advantage to push for first Drake as well. We're looking at 5 minutes and 20 seconds, almost clearing that first Drake. I will say a bright spot, Vigar has done well. He is playing defensively, freezing instead of pushing, but he has decent CS, even with the Ahri. And I think in all lanes, the CS isn't too bad, just a 9 CS deficit in the bot lane. But so far, pretty even game, 200 gold lead for TGR, and I think in previous games they were probably ahead more at this point. We did see Zach try and go top lane and get something done, but he did run into a ward in the Tribush, cleared it, and is now back to farming. After this Raptor camp, I really hope he goes back top, because what's the point of clearing wards if you're not going to come back and gank for that lane later?
Absolutely. I do want to point out that last time we saw these teams match up against each other during the regular season, it was more or less a stomp in favor of TGRefugees. So like you said, dashing forward with the Spirit Rush into the cage, gonna have to flash out of the event horizon because Mr. Person Man is on the scene mid lane, should be safe on that one. But flash burned from Grabber by the Sushi. maybe Mr. Person Man can come back and punish that at a later date. But as I was saying, top lane, all in from Will UI, looking for the kill onto Sholen of Demi. Fully stacked Conqueror, not going to be enough healing to get him out of that one. First blood of the gate, going over to the Volibear top lane.
Absolutely. Really good play by the Volibear, just knowing when he was strong, going in at 6. Even impressive damage through the Mord ult. So even with the stolen stats, he was able to get the kill in the Death Realm. Push the wave in. I will say that Mordekaiser has TP, so he's not really going to go down that far so long as he TPs back to lane. But a nice start. I mean, of all the lanes, top is kind of the most snowbally of all. And getting a kill there, a solo kill in lane, bodes really, really well for your ability to kind of carry. Interestingly, Mordekaiser did not TP back to lane, so he went ahead and dropped the full wave and is just getting back to lane now, but he will have TP up. Still matched by the Volibear, of course, but maybe he hopes to try and come mid or bot for a gank.
I think what he's thinking is Piano Man has got 6 on the Nocturne. Paranoia available. Sholen of Demi might want to be available for any sort of a cross-map play, because if you're the Nocturne, if you're the Ahri, where are you going to look for a dive? Probably the bot side of the map, right? It's kind of silly to be investing so much dive potential into a Mordekaiser. You can just ult somebody and get that 1v1 anyway. If he's under turret, he's probably going to be fine. Almost certainly, I expect Halassa and Pashmina and maybe Fluffy Fox to be the ones targeted by all the dive coming through from TGRefugees as these big ultimates do start to come online. So Sholen of Demi with the teleport might be a little bit more available for those cross-map plays.
Makes a lot of sense. So far, Zach's level 5, Nocturne is level 6. So really, the moment you hit 6 as Nocturne, you want to try and make something happen. Also, we have a bot top switch from TGR, which is interesting. I guess they feel like this is going to favor them in terms of the Mordekaiser really, getting down in CS. But I'm not sure the Volley can 2v1 the Jhin, can he?
I think it's more about getting control over the Rift Herald, right? Look at the Rift Herald control right now with bot lane topside from TGRefugees. Piano Man look free for an engage onto Mr. Person Man. He's got nowhere to go, eating a dredge line, face checking into that bush. He is just going to go down. And guess what? Not only is Mr. Person Man gonna lose his life, but Herald's gonna go over. That's why you rotate your bot lane topside, right? It's not about the matchup. Volibear's doing fine. What you really need to get done is you need to clean the map of jungle objectives, because TGRefugees, they got their power tools. They have the paranoia, they have the spirit rush, they have the depth charge. They know they can force fights. And if Albemarle High School don't want to take the fight because everybody on TGRefugees is there, that's fine. We'll take the objective. We'll take the Herald. We'll rotate bot lane and take the dragon. We'll take everything. And at some point, you're gonna have to fight us.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. I guess I felt like you probably didn't need to bring everybody up in order to secure that. That was 4 people, maybe overkill, but they definitely got the job done. Zach face checking a brush that had Nocturne in it with bot lane, with the swap bot lane having priority. Right now, the counterplay is to do something on this bot side. Take plates, deal some damage. I mean, that Volibear is farming melee free. Jhin should be hitting him every time he steps up for a CS under tower. Jin's got great range. But if you can't whittle him down, it's going to be really hard to, effectively get something done. Maybe they can get plates now that it looks like they're rotating him back up top.
Fluffy Fox charmed up mid lane, taking the ignite, taking the spirit rush, grabbed by the Sushi with a solo kill just in time for Dragon to spawn.
Right, that's what I was afraid of, that RA charm. Once you get 6, it can kind of come from different angles, and it's pretty difficult in lane to defend against. With the Drake coming up, this is early, but this would be their second Drake. It is up now, and it
Paranoia
looks like
still available for Piano Man. For now, Albemarle are actually the ones to start it up. Teleport is available for Fluffy Fox, so Albemarle can sort of muster some defense and get their members on the map quickly if they can, but Herald drop mid lane is going to make that a lot harder, forcing Fox's teleport to this mid lane turret. Still going to be a couple plates going down for sure. And guess what? Piano Man moving into the pit, clearing out some vision, depth charge onto Mr. Person Man. No passive. Remember, Paranoia onto the backline as well. That's just going to be a dead Jhin heal. Going to get popped final chapter as well, but teleport from Will UI to secure the kill. And guess what, Peshmina? You've got nowhere to go, but he does that. She does have somewhere to go. Sholeni gonna go ahead and teleport in as well, but it's only gonna mean his death and Peshmina's death as well. Gonna find 1 kill traded back in the death realm, so at least something of a scrap of a success for Albemarle High School as they trade back at least 1 kill, but overall, a massive team fight win for TGRefugees.
It's just so hard, that Nocturne. The moment he saw the Jhin with the Yumi unattached, he went in. And here we go. Veigar face
Fox,
checking.
you're too far forward. You can't face check that. Another charm from Grabber by the Sushi. For those watching, like, Fluffy Fox, what are you gonna do there, man? I know it sucks you're giving Dragon away, but there's no way you can contest that by yourself as Veigar with no items. You just gotta give it up.
Right. It's rule 1 for League of Legends is you fight when you've got more numbers. And so frequently you see teams going in at a numbers disadvantage. And there was just no need for him. Like, I know that Veigar is bursty, but you're outnumbered. Ari's got charm. You're walking in fog of war. You don't know where anyone is. You're better off just getting a free recall or pushing your laning, recalling, than trying to make something kind of awkward happen. I'm impressed. TGR's done well. They've got good macro. They've gotten 2 Drakes and the Herald. Normally those objectives are traded. And it's an 8-1 kill with a 4K gold lead at this point. So, in order to come back, AHS is going to have to get this Zac rolling. He's going to have to gank somewhere. Right now, he's sitting top lane, and I just don't know that that's the place to go. I'm not sure even 2v1, Zac being a relatively low damage champ, that they will be able to take out the volley.
Yeah, he's gonna heal so much, right? I wanna point out also the 5 kills that TGRefugees got in that last fight. Guess what? All onto Sam Spuds. Kaisa with a 5-0 lead. Now, Piano Man looking bottom with a paranoia, but he only finds Pashmina, who is gonna be safe. But you know who's not safe? Halassa, Dredgeline to the face. He is gonna go down a 6-0 Kaisa now. Sam Spuds popping off.
Yeah, that's Sam Spuds playing through that ADC. Got Man Immune finished. And he is strong, and every chance Xniffy gets, he's just going in with those Nautilus hooks. He ended up missing the first one, jamming it straight into the wall, but Nocturne ulted in and kind of forced them to back off as far as they could, and it was off cooldown just in time for him to smash.
Speaking of going in, Death Realm, Soleni of Demi about to go down, just living barely as Will UI walking away as well. Spirit Rush forward, Mr. Person Man charmed up, gonna go down, can't quite find the kill, and now a teleport coming in from Halassa means that Albemarle High School have at least 1 more member on the map. Curtains are closing for Grabbed by the Sushi, but manages to eke out of that one safely. A charm finds its way onto Mr. Person Man. He's going to go down over the wall as well. Will UI on a killing spree. I'm not even sure how that one happened, but 2 kills for nothing. TGRefugees somehow turned that 2v3.
I did not notice, and this is my bad, but we have an ADC with TP. So it was interesting him TPing to that fight and trying to clean up. I don't hate it. But it's you've got to know the limits, and it's really difficult to get Ahri. Here we are in the mid lane again.
Yeah, looking mid lane. Turret's gonna go down. Fluffy Fox just a little bit too far forward, taking a lot of damage, but no mana or ultimate from Grabber by the Sushi to really follow up on that one. Still though, mid lane turret gonna go down. Rift Herald spawning soon as well, and TGRefugees just have total control over the map.
Absolutely. Just look at that Ahri. She's got Ludens completed, no boots at this point, but 1 combo takes Veigar to 300. So when she's got mana or her ult, which she used in the previous fight, she's just going to be very, very strong. Just picking up blue buff, the blue buff handoff goes smoothly, and it looks like she doesn't even want to recall. She knows with that Ludens item spike, she's going to be stronger with the Veigar, who looks like he's building Ludens as well, but hasn't finished it yet.
Just did finish it, actually. Fluffy Fox finally picking up that first item. I think I definitely disagree with this first item. Luden's Echo picked up on a Glacial Augment Veigar. Where is your GLP? GLP is such a good item on Veigar, and guess what? If you've got Glacial Augment, it applies that Glacial Augment proc. That is the reason for taking Glacial Augment. Herald goes down. Mr. Person Man trying to dash in with the Elastic Slingshot to find something for himself, but he's 1 versus 3, doesn't get the steal. He is gonna go down, adding to the immense kill count of the Refugees. Now 12-1 in kills, and second Herald picked up for this team.
I just don't know that the steal there is going to be effective. I mean, even if he's able to outsmite, is he going to be able to pick up the buff, or is he just going to be CC'd and killed before he can get it? I understand. you definitely want to take long shots. You're way behind in a game. You know, the gold's kind of spinning out of control. It's 7K lead at this point, and you know the items are starting to look big. So I can understand the impulse to want to take chances. I just think you got to pick your spots a little better than that. They still do have, you know, Fluffy Fox. He's a scaling mid laner. He's got 79 stacks on Vigar, which is kind of that free AP, and you never know when he can kind of land that cage, either prevent an engage or get a pick. It looks like they're posturing. Mountain Dragon is up now. Let's see if
Ooh,
they can kind
Fox
of
might be in
group.
trouble here. Oh, flank gonna be dissuaded by the teleport from Sholeni, and here comes a little bit of a dragon dance between these teams. A flank from Mr. Person Man, gonna sweep out that ward finally. A lot of vision was being provided there. A depth charge, or not a depth charge, a hook forward. And look who's going in. A 4-man ultimate from Will UI. A Stormbringer doing all kinds of damage. Paranoia dropped as well. Straight onto the backline goes Piano Man, trying to find Fluffy Fox as he runs for his life. Final chapter not available, already used. He's going to go down. Pashmina is next in line. A double kill for Sam Spuds as Sholeni of Demi running for his life. He's got nowhere to go. Dredgeline's going to miss, but Grabber by the Sushi will have a charm up eventually. And there it is. Going to land. Ignites just for good measure. Ace for TGRefugees and ace for Sam Spuds.
Yeah, that was a nice, clean fight. In the opening salvos of the fight, Ari actually pushed the Zac out towards mid lane. Got about half his health on like an early trade. I mean, Ari's level 12 to Zac's level 8. Those level differences are hugely impactful when you're fighting. So then, as the fight progressed, Zac was kind of engaging on the top side, but the Volibear was really able to get a good engage onto the other 4 AHS team members. Mordekaiser was able to ult and kill the Volibear, but it went 5 for 1 from that point. The damage coming out of the Kai'Sa, who is 902 with a Ginsu's completed and a Zeal for a partial third item, is immense at this point. So I think at this point, any clean 5v5 is going to go the Refugees' way. It's difficult to see what kind of fights they might be able to take, other than, you know, a top collapse or, you know, a pick using the Vigar cage. Vigar got 2 cages off in that fight, but neither of them were really able to connect. It was more zoning than and kind of before the fight really started, rather than really separating team members. So I think the Vigar cage has so far not been as strong as we could have hoped for. And it looks like TGR is pushing into the mid turret.
A big part of this for me is just no value out of the Glacial Augment, as that Dredge line just very narrowly misses. No value out of the Glacial Augment right now. Imagine if Fluffy Fox had a GLP for that added slow, for that added sort of engage or support onto the cage to set up for that ability. It makes it so much easier to land, so much easier to have impactful abilities, especially against a team that is such short range. And if you're not going to build it, why are you taking Glacial Augment, right? Ooh, that Dredge line is going to land as Fluffy Fox steps a little too far forward. Peshmina not going to be able to save him, and neither is Mr. Person Man, as he's forced to use the less bound to disengage the fight. Going to be taken very, very low. 1 for nothing. Lots of ultimates burned. TGRefugees actually with a couple of relatively low health bars, but definitely come out on top with a split push in the side lane to boot.
Yeah, the hook, the Nautilus hook, that's what all the jokes are about. It's just got such a wide hitbox, but it connected full range with that Vigar. And Nocturne immediately followed up. He's got Duskblade with a Warrior Enchant on his jungle item, so he's going to be doing significant damage on that ult Q E combo. And it looks like they're going to start the Baron, which should be free. At this point, AHS is probably running a little scared to kind of push into the fog of war, and it looks like Volibear, maybe they can get a pick here.
Yeah, Will UI gonna be just safe there. Got the Thundering Smash to get him out of harm's way. 35% bonus movement speed is nothing to scoff at.
Right, we're looking at a 10k gold lead for TGR. They have played this one nicely. The only 2 kills at this point are onto Mordekaiser, who first item to Leandries. Which I know is like a good damage item, but does maybe not provide as much utility, particularly into a Spectre's Cowl Volibear. What do you think about Mord ult targets? I feel like if he carefully selects somebody, maybe he can kind of pull the fight apart. Maybe he needs to try and go on that Nocturne when he dives backline.
I think that's the best thing, right? I I think getting Piano Man off those backline targets can be super helpful. Also, depending on where Will UI is, if he's diving the backline with a big Stormbringer, or if he's threatening that, then take him to the Death Chamber. There's nobody on TGRefugees that is a bad target, I think, that you wouldn't want to get out of that fight, except for Sam Spuds, who is probably just going to turn around and kill him.
Right.
So there's that to worry about. I don't really... I don't think Shaleni is strong enough to 1v1 really anybody on TGRefugees, except for maybe Sniffle. But it's about who can he live through. He's got the stopwatch. I don't think Will UI can kill him, and we'll see. He's looking for the 1v1 actually right now, toppling, taking Will UI out of the death realm, but Thundering Smash, Will UI should be fine, and he's kiting down towards the jungle, where Mr. Person Man is waiting for him, but Stretching Strike's got nothing to connect to. And meanwhile, TGRefugees, they're pushing mid lane, they're forcing a final chapter, forcing the flash out of Fluffy Fox, Killer Instinct into the backline. Sam Spud's trying to pick up a kill with the Acathian Rain, not quite gonna get it, but still, mid lane pressure, turret going down. TGRefugees continue their onslaught into the base of Albemarle.
Yeah, it was not a bad disengage. Vigar was hit by the Ari charm, and he was able to get back. And Pashmina on the... And here we have another charm, but Pashmina was able to keep her alive with the Yumi to get the adequate heals. So I think that was actually a pretty good disengage. They didn't lose anybody. So, you know, it's kind of weird to say 0 for 0. You ought to be happy with it, but I think AHS is going to take that one.
I think TGRefugees are going to take it as well, because Dragon is spawned on the map. This is Dragon Soul in Albemarle High School. Off that fight, they have no way to contest this. Mountain Soul going over to TGRefugees. Are you sure you take those if you're Albemarle? Because I am not so sure.
I think it could have been worse on the spectrum of outcomes. That was not terrible. So I will say, and you look at that, 23-minute Soul. But really, that 23-minute Soul was started level 1 when the bot lane pushed and was able to get priority so they could take a 5-minute first Drake. Like this macro, I think has been pretty strong from TGR. And, you know, it's hard to like see into the future that far, but making good small plays at every step is what makes you a good league player. And they really executed kind of in a number of different spots really well. And so here they sit with a 12k gold lead and Dragon Soul providing extra stats. And I think they are in a dominating position to close it out. They did have Baron, but I believe that has fallen off. So at this point, there's no real objectives to fight over. I think your best play here is just to keep AHS pinned into their base. And then you can either fall back to Baron, or if you can land a hook or a charm and get a pick, then maybe you can kind of continue the siege.
Yeah. Next Baron up in about 2 minutes, so not too long to wait on that one. Will UI has been seeing quite a bit of success in the side lane split push as well, so it could set up a bit of a 1-3-1 or maybe a 4-1 in one of these side lanes. I really don't know that there is a wrong answer for TGRefugees at this point. They are so far ahead. They can honestly just group up as 5, drop the dredge line, drop the paranoia, use all their ultimates and kill somebody and win the fight. And that might be what they're going to do to Mr. Person Man here. Gets caught up by Will UI. Gonna have a nice elastic slingshot over the wall. Should be safe for now, but waves are going to be crashing pretty soon into Albemarle. TGRefugees look like they're poising to seize the base. Ooh, charm forward on the Fluffy Fox. I didn't think he got hit by that, but he did. That's the pick that TG needed. That's going to be the main zone control tool from Albemarle. Not available now. Going in with the elastic slingshot onto the backline with a Stormbringer. That's just all TGRefugees all day long. Piano Man shredding the backline off of that paranoia. A 4 for 0. Make it a 5 for 0. Double kill for Sam Spuds. This is going to be the end of the game.
That should be it. So the Volley Bear, super strong. Just tank that turret all day. And the beginnings of that I didn't think looked too bad. Yumi ult felt like it was positioned reasonably, but they're just so far behind and they lack the damage. You know, going
and
into
they were
that,
down a member, right? 4 to 5.
4v5. But I think you take that fight. I think you absolutely take 4v5 in front of the inhibitor turret over just giving it away for free.
Well, we'll see. Fluffy Fox trying to make something happen, but Nexus gonna be exploding here. TGRefugees finding a pretty easy first win. The game was close. We talked about it a little bit for the first 5 or 10 minutes. It was close until it wasn't. Merlin.
Yeah, it fell apart pretty fast.
Yeah, it went from 0 to 100 very quickly. So,
I want to chime in on that Vigar GLP. Like, absolutely, GLP has to be your first item. Um, he doesn't benefit from the Luden's passive procs. Like, he doesn't want
and
extra
by the
spell
way,
damage on the minions.
look at the items. He was building a death cap. He wasn't even getting glacial augment second item. So
No,
why
I
do
don't
you
think
have the glacial augment? Why do
I,
you have it?
I always build Death Cap second on Vigar.
I think death cap second is fine,
It's got to be
but
GLP first, though. But you
but
can't build GLP and
well,
Ludens.
my point is, if you're building Ludens and you're building Death Cap, why do you have the Glacial Augment, right? It's
Right,
just
just go
useless.
Comet or
Run
something.
something else. Run Comet. Run even like Dark Harvest or Predator or something crazy. I don't know. Anything other than the Glacial Augment, you're not using it.
Right.
So
Yeah, it had to be GLP. And one of the best things about being a mid main and Vigar is that GLP is just that hair cheaper. And it is like significantly easier to back for GLP than it is for Ludens. Ludens often takes like a third back, but most of the time GLP is just like one back faster. It's a little less awkward. And I totally agree. It provides zone control. It allows you to hit your E. It sometimes allows you to disengage. Like if you see a jungler coming from a direction, you just throw it blind, flash, and run and hope. And a lot of those things are really enabled by GLP, and he just didn't have it.
I want to respond to the chat quick. I don't know why you took Glacial into Ari anyway. She just ults away. If you can force her ults just by using your GLP cooldown, like that is, it's totally worth it. Like much longer cooldown, right? Like that's 100% worth it. So I'll just throw that out there.
Absolutely.
I do think Glacial Augment into Ari is a very viable, totally good strategy. I think it's probably better than anything else. You want that utility to catch her, to slow her down, and to make her ultimate that much less useful. Force her to use it defensively, not aggressively. Because if you don't run safety tools, if you don't run the Glacial Augment, it can be really hard to deal with her.
Right. One final note. We talked about that Jin as being maybe not the right ADC into this comp. I know it's like a comfort pick for Halassa, but I did not see Jin stand back and fire his ult into a sea of people or like snipe someone down because they were always like right on top of him. And we talked about how Ez was open, but someone with mobility. But like it's like you were playing a champion that did not have an ultimate that game. Like Jin just was never gonna get full value out of his R. And that's a big part of his kit. If you're not going to get value out of his R, I just don't know that you can play him, even though he is a comfort pick. Now, this is a best of 3, so they have a chance to kind of flip things up and change things. But if they want to keep the Jin, they've got to get out some of the dive,
Oh,
Nocturne,
that's one
Ari.
thing. Yeah, I was wondering if TGRefugees may have actually like mind gamed this one and said, "We know Halassa wants to pick Jin, that he's a Jin main, so we are just gonna pick a comp that is absolutely brutal to play Jin into." And you know what? If you still want to play Jin, go for it. We'll punish you. And if you don't want to play Jin, that's fine. We basically got a free ban out of it.
Yeah,
So,
you might be right. I mean, Jin, I think these guys are a skilled team. TGR is playing really strong. I think they probably are doing their research and bans. They had smart bans targeting the top laner. And you're right. They deliberately left a comfort pick open for bot lane while crafting a team comp that could take it down. So props for TGR. Nice first game and great draft. I'm excited to cast this second.
yeah, we are going to go to a break with that. Thank you so much, Merlin. That was an exciting game number 1, but it went very badly, very quick for Albemarle High School. Will they be able to claw back into it and contest that semifinal spot, or will this go the way of the previous encounter between these teams, where TGRefugees can look forward to a quick 2-0 or a quick 1-0, quick best of 1 win? Don't go anywhere. We will be right back to see if Albemarle High School can get back into this one. Welcome back, everybody, to the second game of the series between TGRefugees and Albemarle High School. We are in the Void group this evening with an exciting semifinals performance here. We just got back out of some technical difficulties, so thanks for sticking with us through those. But we are here, we are in draft, and by the way, thank you so much to the Real T for donating 100 bits to the stream. We really do appreciate that one, my friends. We appreciate you. Thanks so much. I love you, buddy. Moving into this right now, we are in draft. Albemarle High School did go for there's a side swap going on, so Albemarle is now on blue side, TGRefugees on red side in game number 1. False? That's false. I'm wrong. Don't listen to that.
Same side.
No side swap. Same sides. In the last game we had, TGRefugees low-key kind of stomped Albemarle High School. Will it happen again, right? This is the semifinals. Albemarle High School, they aren't a bad team. They didn't do badly in the regular season. They were 3rd seed in the Void group for a reason. They only lost one more game than TGRefugees did. So I think they've got it in them to put up a little bit more of a fight than we have seen. Can they do it, Merlin?
Well, I think that the draft has already been very interesting. So all teams actually kept the same pick bands from round 1. And given how hard TGR won that first round, I don't know why they just didn't run it back. But we already see some differences. So instead of the Mordekaiser, we have a Jax on top lane, which is an Uber scaler. Hopefully we'll be able to handle that Volley Bear a little better on the top side. And then we don't have the Nocturne. Instead, we've got Lee Sin, an early game focused jungler. I think that's going to be pretty dangerous. And J4 on the AHS side in the jungle instead of the Zac. So again, I think that in the previous match at level 6, we looked at the board and there was a 200 gold lead maybe for TGR, but other than an early scuttle, there wasn't really a whole lot of difference on the map. This game's going to be volatile. We've got a Thresh in the bot side into Kalista Lulu, Orianna Ahri in the mid lane. Orianna definitely can get some poke down and harass the Ahri pre-6. I think it evens out quite a bit once Ahri gets her ult. And J4, one of the most powerful level 6 gankers, as well as the EQ knockup. Level 3 he can usually get out on the map, and Lee Sin, tons of early game damage. So I think that this is going to be a much more fast-paced game. I'm really looking forward to it. I just from a pick ban perspective, I think TGR could have easily just run back their previous picks and said, show us that you've got enough changes in your kit to beat us, and then we'll start thinking about changing. But as it is, they made some adjustments on the fly. They think this comp is going to work for them better, and we will have to see.
Curiously enough, Jin open, Yuumi open. Albemarle High School not running back their bot lane at all, switching it up totally and completely with a Kalista for Halassa and a Lulu for Peshmina. I'm going to go with Peshmina. I think I said Peshmina last time. I'm sorry for butchering your name. I don't know how to say it. Please forgive me. Switching it up, definitely not a terrible idea. I think Lulu is strong in the meta right now. I think Kalista is strong as well. She did just get nerfed, but I think she'll still be a relatively viable AD carry. That being said, Kalista is hard to play, so Halassa, again, I'm cautiously optimistic you picked it. Let's see if you can play it. It's a good champion. It's a hard champion. So I'm a little bit scared for the bot lane, but it could pay off big time for Albemarle. I like the Lulu pick here, especially good against Lee Sin, good against Thresh. Let's swap back to the Jarvan pick, because you were mentioning the top half of the map. You talked about the Orianna Jarvan, and a lot of potential here for mid lane priority from Fluffy Fox, from Orianna, also for Jarvan to have priority from Mr. Person Man. And I want to point out the Shockwave Cataclysm combo, right? This is an Orianna Jarvan. That is a very strong 2 versus 2, and not everyone on TGRefugees is going to have the tools to get out of that Shockwave or evade that Shockwave. That being said, Piano Man and Grabber the Sushi are going to have, very mobile kits, so it might be hard for Fluffy Fox to land that Shockwave. We'll see what ends up happening there.
J4 and Orianna is definitely a classic combo. I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. I don't know that I'm in love with the Lulu pick. I almost feel like they picked the Lulu because they got blown up so much, and they almost picked it against the last team. Yes, it should still be good against the Ahri and Thresh, but they're just, even the Lee Sin, they're just not quite as heavy into that dive comp. Like some of the range that Nocturne can really get to you at, they just don't have that. So I don't know. It'll still help against full Ari combos, particularly early on. Ari combos, you know, they're plus or minus 100 health, and Lulu can really make the difference in those situations. But I think that you know, I want to be convinced. I want to see it in action and see what happens. I feel like Sivir is also a strange choice. Like, if you give me an ADC
Definitely agree.
who just went like 12-0-2 and utterly destroyed the game, and then you tell them pick me a champ for next game, and you put them on like an uber late game scaler who does have priority and can push, but is not really known for kill threat. You know, I think the Ez is open, Misfortune's open. There's a lot of things with more early game pressure that also scale reasonably into the late game.
All right, Merlin, we got to go to a break. I'm sorry. I'm going to cut you off. We'll talk about it more when we get into the game. We are going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere for game 2 between TGRefugees and Albemarle High School. All right, ladies and gentlemen and others, welcome back onto Summoner's Rift for game number 2 of TGRefugees versus Albemarle High School. We got an exciting semifinals match for us tonight. Albemarle High School looking with the backs against the wall to defend their record, to defend their semifinals or their finals hopes and dreams, and TGRefugees doing the opposite, trying to secure that finals win for themselves. Should be a good game. Last time around, TGRefugees had a pretty convincing win. Can they do it again? I'm Baymax. I am joined on the cast this evening by Merlin. How's it going, Merlin? What are you thinking from this game?
It is great. And before we go any further, I want to mention I'm an AHS graduate, class of 96, so I'm hoping for the Patriots to take this one down. We had talked in Champ Select about the Sivir, and I feel, just one last comment, I feel like he could have picked a more aggressive lane pick. That's something that had more kill pressure. I know that she's an uber shover and maybe can rotate to Drake. And quite frankly, the TGR macro is super solid. So maybe that's all they need to do. But with the leads that they were able to get last game, I kind of prefer maybe a stronger early game champ. Interestingly, both teams are leashing for their junglers. So we're going to have that classic level 3 clash on the top side with where the junglers meet either over scuttle or top gank. So We talked about that before. Also, we should see a more action-packed game. These champs are much more early game oriented than the previous game, where we had a lot of champs that really required ults to get online. This Oriana and the J4 and the Lee are not going to wait that long to get involved.
Definitely not. Although level 6, not going to hurt, right? Cataclysm is a really big cooldown for Mr. Person Man to have available, especially with the Cataclysm Shockwave combo we talked about in Champ Select, hanging around that mid lane. Definitely expect Cataclysm to be one of the bigger cooldowns that Albemarle have available to them. But right now, you're 100% right. Albemarle specifically have a lot more potential for agency from this mid lane and from, I would say, the top lane and bot lane as well than they had last time around. I think Lulu Kalista is actually a pretty strong lane. I especially do like the Kalista into TGRefugees team. It's really good against Thresh. It's pretty good against Lee Sin and Ahri as well, and Volibear, all that stuff. Good anti-dive, right? It's good to have.
Right. It looks like both junglers did a full clear on the bot side, and instead of pathing up, J4 went to try and gank bot side. Unfortunately, AHS, in this particular scenario, AHS had the push, so they had the early level 2, and it's going to make it a little bit tough to kind of get a gank off. So it looks like they're rotating to their top side, and because Lee saw that failed gank, it looks like he wants to invade the red.
Oh yeah, he's going for a Q over the wall, Sonic Shockwave. It's a 1 versus 1. Red buff gonna get smited away by Mr. Person Man. He's definitely got the edge in this 1 versus 1. Forces the flash from Piano Man, but the Flag and Drake is still gonna land. First blood over to Albemarle High School.
That was a great smite. The smite fight. It's hard to win that, particularly against the Lee, because he's got execute on his Q. But he was able to play it. Now, the next couple seconds are absolutely critical. What's he going to do with this early lead? He's got level 3, and Lee has not cleared any of his blue side. The classic maneuver here for the J4 would be to go invade him and try and take his blue. He's got a level up right now, but it looks like he's not going to choose to fight, although he does see the lead.
Well, I think one problem is that Will UI actually has top lane pressure right now. He's got priority. He can roam down first. So I don't hate what Mr. Person Man is doing, opting instead to just get the double Scuttle Crab and say, I'm going to get a lead over Piano Man that way rather than actively look for the invade, because the lane pressure is not there. It can be hard to look for the invade. And we talked about it being pretty important that Mr. Person Man does hit level 6 sooner rather than later. Cataclysm is a very big cooldown to have. So I don't hate it. It also sets up for Dragon a little bit nicely as well.
Absolutely. Double Scuttle is super nice. It's like your ideal start as a jungler. And it looks like J4's going back to farming his top side, his bot side, instead of trying to get ganks down. And I will say that TGR has had river wards to spot out jungle ganks, and they're doing a nice job of kind of covering their lanes now that they know that J4 is kind of out on the map. And Lee Sin is just finishing his full clear. I believe this will get him to level 4 also, but J4 has definitely got the edge on the map. I hope he can convert that into something meaningful. And meanwhile, on the top side, it looks like we're in that worst case scenario where Volibear's got a freeze on against the Jax along with like a significant HP lead. It's going to be tough to break that on his own.
We'll see. Piano Man is hanging around top lane to break potential freeze. I want to look towards, I'll hold that thought. Solony of Demi leap striking forward, gonna eat the resonating strike, gonna have to flash away from that one. A nice gank from Piano Man, and Will UI might still have this lane frozen if he wants it to be, but it looks like he is actually gonna start shoving that one out. So not worst case scenario for Solony of Demi, but he's a little bit better off for that having happened, other than being flashless.
I really wish he had recalled and TP'd. He's like a little less than half health, and this is not the kind of spot where you want to stay. It's a cannon minion wave. There's no real need to stay. But it does look like AHS is, well, it looks like they were going to try and rotate to Drake, which is like the perfect answer. That's exactly what you want to do when you see Lee Sin gank top ineffectively, is you want to try and get it done somewhere on the bot side.
Ooh, I do want to point out, Grabber by the Sushi level 6 in this mid lane does have the Spirit Rush available. Remember what happened last game when that key cooldown became available. Puffy Fox, no cleanse this time around either. Will be in danger if Grabber by the Sushi wants to look for any of those 1 versus 1s. I do think you're right, though. Jungle showing top lane for that tank could have potentially been a green light for Albemarle to go ahead and start this dragon up, but pretty good vision control in the area from TGRefugees, I think, is making that a little bit more difficult.
It looks like they're going for it now. They're at least pinging it and clearing the pink wards. We got to see if the rest of the team rotates and they're able to pick that up. But again, that first Drake's super important. It enables you to potentially threaten Soul at an earlier time.
Resonate strike over the wall. The Piano Man is nearby and will likely have some warning if Albemarle decide to try to go for that. So I think that Albemarle are probably okay to sort of sit and scale up. I don't know about you, but I'm looking at this team comp with the Jax, the Callista, the Orianna, the Jarvan. I'm thinking this definitely outscales what TGRefugees are bringing to the table. And of course, it's never a bad thing to get your hands on that dragon early. But if you do have a team that outscales, playing it slow early on, just keeping control of the map is not a bad option either.
Not too bad. I will say that despite the early lead that J4 was able to get over the Lee Sin, they have basically equaled out in terms of CS because J4 has spent 2 minutes hovering around this Drake without actually being able to start it. He's got all of his small camps except for Raptors up right now, and he just keeps coming to this bot side and not being able to get anything done.
Oh, he's trying right now, though. Got the flag and drag, but Sam Spuds and Sniffy just going to walk out of that one as Piano Man is in Mr. Person Man's sights. Does end up forcing Sam Spuds' heal, but that's all he's going to get. I do want to point out, you're right. He spent all this time on the boss side of the map, and guess what? His Gromp and Wolves have been up for a long time as well, and he hasn't taken those either. He probably could have been level 6 for that gank and maybe had the Cataclysm, maybe done something, maybe forced some flashes, but instead, not quite gonna happen. Oh my god, one wolf! Literally one little wolf was all it took, and he's level 6 now. He could have that Cataclysm so easy, that gank goes way better.
Yeah, if being able to lock somebody down, that's really what you need on that J4. So now Red's up, everything's up, and I think he just needs to pull the trigger and solo that dragon and get his team to rotate. I mean, he can take that on his own if he has to, but he cannot spend any more time bot side without getting anything done.
And Fluffy Fox is low on mana, but does have teleport. Could recall and teleport with full mana and have an edge up over grabbed by the Sushi. But as things stand right now, low mana on the Orianna might make this dragon a little bit tough to take. But Sniffy and Sam Spud still stuck under turret. Looks like TGRefugees are going to give this one away.
I'm really glad that they pulled it out. They pulled it
all in
out
top side. Oh, Selene of Doom going to get flashed on. Remember, still flashless from that last gank. Will you? I look for something. Turret Shot's doing a lot of damage, though. Conqueror healing, keeping Shaleni of Demi alive. Level up from Will You I is going to dissuade any sort of an opportunity or idea for another all-in, a repeat gank. But overall, flash burn from Will You I guess that's a benefit to Albemarle.
Yeah, not too bad. And I'm not that clear on how the Jax Volibear is supposed to go, particularly given that Volibear got buffed a little bit in recent patches. But you got to assume that Jax is going to be fine late game. He's a huge scaler, and he just needs to kind of survive the lane. And at this point, he's 10 CS down, and I think that that's probably an acceptable outcome for him. He's already got a Vampiric Scepter, so he can lifesteal up a little bit. And I think that lane is going well. Across the map, Ari's got a 5 CS lead against Orianna, so that's kind of an even. I will say Orianna had a better back and a better buy, and it looks like she's chunked Ari at least a little bit. But so there may be some kill pressure potential there.
The hook from Fog of War in the top lane push. That's the rotate we saw last game coming through from TGRefugees. Then Sholeni of Demi just barely still not having the flash available. A nice death sentence and a nice pick to TGRefugees. That's probably going to be the Herald as Piano Man starts that one up.
Yeah, I don't know if they're timing the flashes, but that was literally about 8 or 9 seconds before his flash was up. So being able to kind of repeat that gank is super important. Now, they're a man down on the top side. Do they really want to contest 2v3 for this Herald? I mean, maybe they can force it off, but AHS has to be super careful here. Right now, you should put the ball in the J4 and let J4 go in. You don't need to lead with the ball.
Well, it looks like they might look for something, and you're 100% right. Will Mr. Person Man go forward? He doesn't have to. Looks like Sniffy is doing it for him. Flay, death sentence onto the Herald. Mr. Person Man finds one kill. He's got a warrior, does so much damage. Doesn't manage to actually pick up that Herald. I think it went over to the side of TGRefugees, went over into the hands of Sniffy, but still a 1-for-1. Not terrible. Imagine if Albemarle had gotten the steal.
That was 1-for-1, and I will say that Shockwave, I believe, was down. So that was probably why they didn't try the combo of Orianna ult with the J4 ult. Again, that bot side, top side swap for Herald was really, really effective. Not just because they're able to get the Herald, but the kill on the top side really helps. And AHS is just, I think, left puzzling what to do on the bot side when they're against that volley, who they just don't feel like they can have any kill pressure against, and other than pushing him and making him farm under turret, when there's no dragon up, it's unclear, or they're just not sure what they should do objective wise. We see a rotation by J4 to the bot side. His ultimate still has about 30 seconds. So I'm not sure that he really wants to try and go in without it, but he could get something done. Look how far up this Ari is pushing. While the ult, here we go.
Yeah, Spirit Rush still on cooldown. Shockwave not on cooldown. Fluffy Fox gonna look for the engage. Nullifying Orb gonna buy Grabber by the Sushi sometime. Just enough time for Fluffy Fox to run out of mana and eat an Orb of Deception to boot. Not too much coming out of that one.
No, but again, a key cooldown. The Orianna ult, it's I guess not super short early, 93 seconds at this time, but you really want to try and get kills. And a lot of time, mid laners have really powerful ults, and it's really tempting to use them in lane, use them when they come up. But if you can be patient with them and combo it with your jungler, you're just much more likely to land a kill, which is really much more effective in kind of steamrolling and snowballing the game. So I want to see Fluffy Fox work together with this J4. That's one of the oldest, most powerful combos. Everybody knows about it. It's fantastic. It does so much damage, pins them down. Here we go topside with a little trade J4 with the Jax. Definitely takes the worst of it, but he has properly warded, so he should be okay on that top side.
Look what's happening bot side, though. Piano Man showed top lane, which means Mr. Person Man is free to sweep out some vision, look for a bot side gank. He's got the Cataclysm. This might be a flash forced out from Samsbuds. I don't know why I didn't go for it. It was Person Man who flashed instead. Where's the Cataclysm? Hooked under turret. Death sentence means Mr. Person Man is going to go down. Finally, the Cataclysm comes out. Sniffy is going to be traded back onto that one, but Pashmina forced a flash away from Samsbuds, who was free firing in the backline the whole time. This is a BF sword, Cloak of Agility Sivir, who is very strong. A double kill for the AD carry for TGRefugees. And top side of the map, Piano Man and Will UI finding a dive under turret onto Selene of Demi as well. That's just victories across the map for TGRefugees. And I have to honestly say, Mr. Person Man, I think that was mechanically a very questionable engage.
You know, we were talking about this in the delay, and Callista Lulu for the Callista ult, when she pulls in a champion and can throw it for a knockup, we were questioning whether Lulu was really going to be able to do much. As a squishy enchanter, it felt like she couldn't kind of get melee and mix it up. They actually binded that to the J4, so that Callista is able to throw in the J4, which I think...
It just took, the execution was so slow, though. Like, you gotta just do it. Or flag and drag in. He could have just flag and dragged in, dropped the Cataclysm. Maybe it wasn't all his fault, right? Like you were saying, that Callista, our Shockwave, and mid goes wide, by the way. You're right, but it's got to happen. He could have just dropped the Cataclysm right away, forced flashes, boom, turned a dragon, because Piano Man is still topside. Instead, Albemarle, they lose bot lane, they lose top lane. They are back at this dragon pit. They have control over the area for now, but Grabber by the Sushi and Piano Man are returning on the scene. I don't think Albemarle can look for this right now.
No, it looks like they have a 5v4 for a short
they do actually, yeah.
time.
Oh,
So
they're
they
looking
are
for it.
going to start it. They are going to go for it, and we will probably see a fight. Lee's not going to let this... Oh, no.
You know, I was wrong, actually. I didn't realize that Will UI did not have teleport available. I do like that call. I do think that was a good call.
AHS sneaking a dragon under 4. That is a good way to get back in. Kills her 5-3. It's just a 4k gold lead, but they have 2 Drakes. Dragon Soul is a legit win condition for any comp, I think, these days. And yes, the outer turret fell, but Jax is going to get it up top in time to protect the inner. If they can just protect these outer turrets and last it a little longer, I think that was a great call by AHS. Nicely done.
A charm mid was about 1 pixel from landing onto Fluffy Fox. It was so close. It's scary.
Yeah, against this comp, if you land 1 piece of CC, you've got Thresh follow-up and Lee damage and Ari damage, so you really have to stay clear of everything. Okay,
that's
I'm going to say
you pick Sivir.
I am not a big fan of the Fluffy Fox ults. The moment it's off cooldown, she just threw it into a Sivir spell shield, and I don't know how long we're going to have to wait before we see it in kind of a team fight environment, but if you just shockwave the person in front of you and hope to chunk, that is not the team fight play that Orianna is.
Yeah, especially with the Jarvan, right? We talked about how much setup Albemarle have for this Shockwave. Now looking top lane, Mr. Person Man says, I'm going to set up for Sholeni of Demi instead. Still holding onto that Cataclysm as he autos Will UI down. Doesn't end up opting to use it until the Stormbringer ends up being used. Flash is traded from jungler and top laner, but guess what? Will UI's got nowhere to run except straight into Fluffy and Pash Mina. The rest of TGRefugees arriving on the scene to try to bring something back into this one, but Sniffy forced to flash over the wall as well. That was a win for Albemarle High School.
I feel like Fluffy Fox may be staying a little bit too long at 150 health. He actually got tagged by a Lee Sin Q, but he could not follow it in without risking his life. So, HS playing great. Getting kills, getting picks. This J4 by Mr. Person Man is really getting a lot of work done. I hope he continues to fight. You've got to push that lead. Your opponent is on a Lee Sin. He's 0-2-1, and he falls off. That is not the kind of early game you want from a Lee Sin. So I really think they've got a good chance with this one, AHS.
I have one concern, and that concern is that Sholeni of Demi is, in my mind, the win condition that allows Albemarle High School to outscale TGRefugees, and he is really far behind. 91 CS on the Jax. He's down 30 CS on Will UI. He's just finished with Blade of the Ruin King, which is a nice power spike, but he's going to need at least another item or two before he really starts to become useful. There is a Shockwave, and it wasn't a terrible one, but Spirit Rush going to be forced out by Garber by the Sushi, and meanwhile, TGRefugees, they're doing the Herald.
Yeah, I do not like those ults.
Ooh, flash forward. Flash is traded by the mid laners. Now bot lane. Mid lane action going to be put on the sideline for a second. Mr. Person Man trying to catch out Will UI. Does have the Cataclysm in about a second. Stormbringer not yet available. And Halassa just pumping that Battle Bear full of all those spears. Randy going to secure that one. Another kill over to this 2-1 Callista.
Okay, I hate that Jax joined. Like, he was sitting topside, and he was farming the opposite side of the map, which is fine.
Ooh, a nice kill there. Little pick going over.
Yeah, that looks like Grabber by the Sushi, just staying too long on that Ahri when low. But you talked about how Jax is going to need more items. He needs to just split. Like, right now, they have Volibear killed and Ahri killed. There's 2 extra men on the map, but they are doing nothing with this lead.
He's sitting mid lane. He's sitting mid lane. We checked like 3 minutes ago. He had 91 CS. He still has 91 CS. He's finally grabbing some under turret here, missing most of them as well. And look, like, you're right. I'm sorry. The side lanes unanswered. Someone could be farming those. Herald dropped mid lane now, though. TGRefugees are pressuring the map. It looks like they're not going to get turret.
No turret, but really, like, you've got to know how to play Jax. And, like, right now, Volibear is going back up topside, and he's actually going to be pushing the topside first. You do not want to share experience between 4 players in the mid game. That is not how you get ahead. So, really, I hope I don't say Jax's name for the next, like, 10 minutes. He needs to just be farming in side lanes and pressuring turrets. They could easily have gotten top turret. J4 and Callista is all it takes to take care of the Volibear, and Jax can just have a free lane opposite that, and Orianna and Lulu can just hold mid. It looks like everybody's getting set up for the next Drake, which is up in 10 seconds. Jax is topside, but he does have TP if he wants to join.
Mr. Person Man, eating a little bit of a charm as Albemarle High School trying to clear out some of this vision. For now, it is a 5 versus 4. If Albemarle want to fight this, they need to teleport, but it's still not coming through, and Will UI is now on the front lines. TGRefugees fighting off this dragon. Finally, the teleport comes through, but it might be a little bit too far forward. Death Sentence finds Fluffy Fox, the right target. Shockwave on the 3, but it's not going to matter. TGRefugees running this fight. 3 deaths, 4 deaths. Pash Mina, the only one left alive, and he is going to go down as well, or she is going to go down as well. 5 for nothing. TGRefugees, they find the fight they needed.
That was just a clean fight, and it was just so fast. Callista, first to die. You've got Lee Sin, ult, and Volibear just went in like a ton of bricks onto that back line. You cannot let him get into you quite that deep. And the Thresh hook actually landed on the Orianna, like, who was the deepest.
That was such a clean cook. That wove through that thing, found its way, needle in a haystack, through everybody else in Albemarle, and just zeroed in right on Fluffy Fox, bringing Sniffy and just right onto the entire backline. They got like a 5-man play.
You know, props to AHS. 4 of them dodged it. Like, they all, like, split and the waves parted and it just snagged Max. That had to be Max range. I could not believe it.
That wasn't a dodge. Sniffy parted the Red Sea. He said, "You will step aside, and I will hook Fluffy Fox." That is what happened. But Albemarle High School sort of stepping forward for Baron Vision now.
Yeah, it was an amazing hook, but even with that, Fluffy Fox got a 3-man ult in. But the problem is that and J4 got a good cataclysm, but Callista had already gotten eaten, and you know, she needs to stay as far back, particularly when you don't have flash up, and she didn't have flash for that fight, and you just have to position differently. If she stays back and doesn't get caught up in that initial mess and is just hammering on the volley bear the whole time, everybody's kind of locked down and Fluffy Flox's ult comes through, I think they maybe could have taken that fight, but they just got really smashed by that volley bear. They still they're down 7K, but they do have 2 Drakes. I still think this is a much closer game than the previous. I think they can still fight. I just really want to see Fluffy Flox put the ball on J4 and let him go in.
Yeah, we'll see. They can look for that right now. A bit of an NA ram going on mid lane, but with a little bit of a twist. Will UI in the side lane, a 4-1 for TGRefugees as they are trying to split the map here. Shawnee of Demi still not in a side lane, picking up a wave. Eventually going to run into that bot lane wave, but again, 105 CS. That CS gap between the top laners is only widening.
Yeah, 50 CS gap at this point. It looks like it's about a 2,300 gold lead between those 2 top laners. So definitely significant. Volibear finishing that Triforce. I will say that Jax probably cannot fight the Volibear, but he does not need to stay with the team. He could just play on the other side of the map.
Here comes the engage. Spirit Rush forward. Charm is fine. Halassa, that's the one carry. You said it, Merlin. Albemarle need Halassa alive, and he is dead. Everyone else is following in his footsteps. Grabbed by the Sushi, flashing forward for another charm onto Fluffy Fox. 4 for nothing. 5 for nothing. Another ace. Another clean ace for TGRefugees.
Yeah, the volley engages are just super, super strong. And your positioning has to be impeccable. But he pushed bot side, ran through the jungle, and I believe AHS was able to spot him out with a ward on red, but there was nothing closer to the lane, so he was able to get pretty deep unseen. Jax was actually rotating as well and able to call it out, but at that point he was just too close and was able to get in. I will say that Mr. Person Man almost got out with a double blast cone, new feature of the map for this last patch, but he was just able to be picked off. But it was a really, really good attempt, and I don't think many people would be able to quite as mechanically and fluidly hit those 2 blast cones. Let's see, TGR in commanding lead. At this point, it's a 10K gold lead. They're setting up for Baron. They've got vision, but they haven't done their recalls, and it's really important that you recall between fights. There's no point in taking another fight without having spent the gold that you have. So this is smart play. I almost wish they hadn't dropped any vision, because if you're not there to defend it, what's the point of putting it down in the first place? It would be almost better not give away that pink ward gold, just recall after the fight, and then move up as a team to reestablish vision on the top side. Gotta say, MVP, that Sam Spuds really crushing it. 608 with a 700 gold bounty if AHS can get to him. Super strong, finished Infinity Edge and Essence Reaver again with a partial item on the Zeal. So he is going to be dishing out tons of damage. Even the bouncing blades onto a squishy like Callista or Lulu is just going to do a ton of damage. So, props to him. He's really gotten the job done in both these games.
Credit to Grabber by the Sushi as well. Some of these charms for engages have just been have been absolutely key to just picking fight after fight. It was the hook in Bot River that initially started that last big ace, or the previous big ace, and then the last one that happened, it was a big charm from a big Spirit Rush from this Ahri. So credit to all of TGRefugees. They are running the map right now, and it is for a reason. Everybody on their team is playing exceptionally well, and they are peaking at the right time. They got last dragon, they got this dragon, second Infernal Dragon of the game picked up for TGRefugees. They are going to scale into late game just fine. Shaleni of Demi finally in a silent whacking away at this turret. Might be about to get the first one of the game for TGRefugees, but he has got an entire army bearing down on him. He had better recall right now.
Yeah, but I really like that he just stood in a side lane, because the other option for someone like Jax is just to farm in the jungle, and then you get no objectives. So I really like that he went topside and he stuck it out and he didn't try and join for like a losing fight. Even right now, it looks like they're going to try and collapse and contest this Baron, but they're going to be late on it. It's just going to be gone. But I wish they had just pushed bot side, try and take another turret, try and alleviate more pressure. You don't have to, otherwise you're just spending time running around, and that's never going to be a winning scenario. As it is, Thresh stayed really, really late. Might they be able to catch him out?
Ooh, Shockwave onto Sniffy. He might be in trouble. Doesn't have flash. He does have a blast cone. Gotta go ahead and pop that one, but no top lane turret there for him to run to. Forced to pop the stone plate. Blade of the Rune King slow from Halassa, and he is eventually going to get rended for fat shutdown gold. 450 into the pocket of Halassa.
Not a bad place for it to go. So you just finished Baron. Your whole team's done. What do? You do not clear vision and get a late recall. There's no point in clearing the vision. The extra gold isn't worth it because that's not where the next fight's going to take place. The next fight's going to be on bot side over Dragon or pushing a side lane. So for him to die when after Baron was done, it's just unfortunate. You don't need to take that vision. He's played a superb game, 3-2-7, got a great line, and really got his ADC ahead. But if you can recall all at the same time as a team after Baron and get back all out on the map at the same time.
Mr. Person, man, he's in trouble. Doesn't have the flag and get himself out of dodge on that one. Samspud's godlike after another nice charm and an engage from Piano Man. Now top lane under siege as Will UI is keeping Halassa distracted at the bot lane. TGRefugees, they're looking to break open the inhibitor here.
I think so. They even got numbers up at the moment. Jax is like pinned between turrets. He's not sure where to go. Callista did recall and will get topside, but they'll still be 4v3 until Jax gets back up.
Ooh, and speaking of Jax, looking for the all-in. He got a sheen. He's feeling pretty strong, but you are not strong. Know your place, says Will UI. Stormbringer gonna shut that one down real easy, real quick. Nice little turret dive action to the boss side of the map. Now switching towards the top side. I'm not even sure how long this turret's gonna live, but these cannon minions are eventually gonna knock it down. Fluffy Fox trying to clear this wave, but there goes that inhibitor turret. TGRefugees buying their time, waiting for those bot lane waves, waiting for that mid lane wave. Flash forward from Halassa, gonna go ahead and use the Fate's Call to try to engage a fight. A nice Cataclysm into a nice Shockwave, but it's just not gonna be enough. Samspudge is low, but he's still alive. Grabber by the Sushi's low, but still alive. Halassa gonna get traded back. Did pick up one kill on a Samspudge, but guess what? It is not enough. Will UI coming up top side with a flank to find the last two, and that is an ace for TGRefugees.
So I like the engage. I'm going to blame the fact that it didn't work for the gold difference, but they were able to throw in the J4. He was able to knock up Cataclysm. He got the Lulu ult for a 4-man knockup and the Shockwave. And if there was just more gold in the AHS pockets, I think that would have resulted in kills. As it was, they got a couple people down to 200, 300, but they just didn't have the items to kind of finish it off. Super nice game by TGR. Really well played, and I think that they definitely deserve the win, and I want to see how they do in the finals. It should be a fantastic game.
I will say, Albemarle put up a significantly better fight that game than last game. That wasn't a high bar. Albemarle kind of got rolled over last game, but the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game were very close. Albemarle were making good things happen, right? They got the first two dragons. They had leads mid lane and bot lane early on. TGRefugees did have some really smart rotations, better macro overall, I think, and maybe better micro as well, just cinching the day for them. But Albemarle definitely did improve in that second game.
Absolutely. In particular, Mr. Person Man got a lot done early. Solo kill onto the Lee Sin when Lee Sin invaded, and double scuttle, 2 Drakes. There was a lot of positives in that game. But TGR, all credit to you. They hit that mid game spike. Ari picks up her ult. And the top laner, Will UI, just both games on that Volibear, just crushing that lane, creating a lot of pressure, taking turrets, and providing that engage and tankiness for the team. So congratulations to TGR. I had a ton of fun casting, and good luck to you guys in the finals.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I definitely am excited to see the finals. I feel like this is the best version of TG Refugees that we've seen so far. They are without a doubt improving as a team, and they have got a they've got a tough matchup for them. Whoever does win, but you know what? It's definitely they've got a case for themselves as being potentially the strongest team out of this Void group. They can try to get themselves moved up in the world, moving up on over to oh my god, I'm blanking on the name of the other moving on to the higher group. We'll just leave it at that because I am blanking on the name right now. But
It's always good to be
regardless,
promoted.
regardless, before we end off this broadcast, I want to quickly give another little shout out to Sam Spuds, by the way. 19 kills out of 22 he had kill participation for. If I can just run the numbers in that quick. 19 out of 22. That is an 86% kill participation rate. So definitely putting in the work on this Sivir. If we check damage graph as well, second most in the game. Most was actually Fluffy Fox on this Orianna. So we were being critical of his shockwaves earlier on in the game, but he had some good ones later on. I think you were right, though. It was just too little, too late, too far behind.
Yeah,
But,
it was the shockwaves did a lot of damages. They did not get a lot of kills. And if you're not getting kills with that key ultimate, you've got you've got to really think about how you're throwing them. I will say, in terms of vision, everybody on both teams bought pink wards, so great job covering your vision. That's something that a lot of
yes.
teams fail to do, particularly in the ADC role. But between the two ADCs, there were 7 pink wards built.
All right. Moving into the finals, Team Black Blossom and Team Wood Forever are having their own semifinals match in the Void group. I think right now, yeah, they should be playing right now. So check back in with the Discord for updates on who ends up winning that. You will have your answer for who will play in the finals in the Void group in probably 2 hours the most, I would say. So stick around for that. But other than that, we are going to end the broadcast for tonight. So thank you everyone so much for watching. We've had a pretty strong amount of chat. A lot of viewers just conversing. We always love that. I love talking to you guys. I love seeing everyone's opinions and reading your chats. We do read your chats. Thank you for the biddies again. It was really awesome to see those bits come through from you, Real T. So thank you so much for that one. And Merlin, thank you for casting with me. It's been fun. It was a fun 2 games. Thanks also to Albemarle and TGRefugees for playing these games. I know they weren't exactly the closest games in the world, but we do appreciate these guys sticking it with us here, playing the games, having some fun, having a nice competitive League of Legends experience. So with that all out of the way, we are going to end the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you all later.
Thanks, guys.